One. I'm Adam Zdroik. It's Wednesday, MLS Wednesdays over at RotoWire Soccer. I'm going to be getting into my best bets for August 30th for MLS in just a little bit. What's up, everyone? Let's do this. Major League Soccer. That is what Wednesday's for. Sure, maybe there's some, EFL Cup games going on. Maybe there's some qualification matches for Champions League, Europa League, whatever. We're doing MLS. We got a full MLS slate. I believe it's 13 games tonight, August 30th, Wednesday, August 30th. As you can see here on the betting page for RotoWire, you got to just click over sports betting, go to soccer, and then you will see right here. We compare odds at 4 different sites: DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, and PointsBet. As you can see here, if you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, there's a lot of different numbers at a lot of these places. Inter Miami minus 185 at BetMGM, but I believe they're minus 195 at DraftKings. So some different numbers there. If you have money in all those accounts, check that out. Otherwise, look at all these games. I'm going to be going over some things. I'm not going to be going over, lineup by lineup, player by player. I've done that in the past, but it's midweek MLS, and we don't know what rotations will look like. We don't know about a lot of things here, but let's get into lineups just a bit. I'll be using our cheat sheet. You can get to the cheat sheets by clicking cheat sheet, but here you go. We got an MLS fantasy cheat sheet. If you're in MLS fantasy, there's only about 10 weeks left, but either way, this cheat sheet, you can see all odds for every MLS game in a given week. Has lineups, has all that good stuff. Rotowire.com/soccer trial. It's a 48-hour trial. Look at these odds. Inter Miami with Messi are the biggest favorite by a decent margin here of any team. Of note, I don't think it's going to be a major worry, but Northern Florida has a hurricane. There's a hurricane in Northern Florida. It doesn't seem like it's going to affect Miami just yet. Maybe they might get some rain here and there, but I think this game will be going on. But as usual with these MLS games, every home team is favored outside of Philadelphia against Toronto, who are arguably the worst team in the league. So that explains that. But let's get in some lineups here. Going back to what I said about Toronto, a lot of issues. You can see their injury list is really long. CJ Sapong has started last few games. He might not be ready to start. Rosted might not be ready to play on the back line. We know O'Neal is out at center back. They started Michael Bradley at center back last game. Still ended in 2-0 loss. Maybe he's their best center back, but that also means someone else has to play in the midfield. So there's questions all around. They have questions with Insigne, with Bernardeschi. Maybe those guys will stay at Toronto. Doesn't sound like they will. Either way, Philadelphia, one of the best teams in the league. I know this is away from home, but I kind of like Philadelphia. We'll see how much they rotate. They don't rotate too much. Let's just keep an eye on the Martinez situation. It looks like he's good. I think he showed up on the injury report, picked up a knock last game, but he should be good. New York City at home against Montreal, just off the basis of this. Again, we could see some rotation. They just lost their center back to France. Whatever his name is, Chano. Yeah, Chano. They just lost Chano to, I believe, his hometown, maybe something like that. But I think they're going to be fine otherwise. As you can see, they're kind of a weird formation. We'll see if Thales Magno starts up front. Bakrar has been getting starts up there as well. Otherwise, Montreal just kind of a not very good team away from home. So if you want to bet New York City, I'd go that route. The Revs, I think Farrell and DeJuan Jones should be fine. DeJuan Jones was pictured in training earlier this week. So that should be in terms of the Revs. Red Bulls coming off the loss against Inter Miami. We'll see about their forward situation. So Manuel and Vanze are both questionable. So either one of those guys could start, or they could do something else. As you can see here, 4-2-2-2. has been their formation of late. So could be that, could be something else. I believe Tomas Vaclik, their new goalkeeper, he's not going to be eligible. He does not have his visa. So Edwards will probably start again. I actually think there's going to be goals here just because you kind of get goals in these Revs matches. I know the Red Bulls are different, but I think the Revs will kind of dictate how this one goes. Wouldn't be surprised if they gave up a goal early, kind of a thing, to the Red Bulls and then had to come back, kind of a thing. So I do like the over on that one. Miami and Nashville, we'll be talking about that one a little bit. But we saw Inter Miami rotate a bunch. I don't believe Alba, Busquets, or Messi started in their game at the Red Bulls, and I believe they should all be in there unless something changes in the next 12 hours here. Nashville, Sam Surge picked up something. He might not be ready to start. I'm not sure how much it matters. We'll see. I mean, these teams just played, what was it, 2 weeks ago in the MLS Cup, and I think that one was, I want to say that one was home for Nashville. This one is in Miami, and Nashville, if I remember correctly, I remember I watched this. Nashville probably could have won, probably should have won. They had late chances. I think Mukhtar had a really late chance to get that one, and then Miami beat them in PKs. Charlotte coming off a pretty big win against LAFC. We'll see how their lineup looks. They're pretty deep, but guys like Westwood, Swiderski, some usual names in here that they don't mix up too much. Orlando City is another team that's playing better than they were earlier in the season. And I think this is a tough one, but I'm just going to base it off of Charlotte playing at home and how they looked against LAFC. I think I would probably take them on the money line. Actually, I might be taking them on the money line as we get into my bets here. Atlanta against Cincinnati. I think this one kind of screams goals here a little bit. Atlanta at home. They're always in play for 2-3 more goals. I believe they just won 4-0 in their last home match. I think that was that against Nashville? Might have been against Nashville. Yes, it was. So I think there's going to be goals. I think Cincinnati's more likely to score than Nashville away from home. Vasquez, Bupenza, their new signing. It's starting to get going a little bit here in league play, but just Atlanta at home kind of screams goals. They have been better. They have been actually kind of good since they added a bunch of guys. Zandy Silva. I'm not even sure about this Saba Labjadinza guy. Muyumba is here as well. They've actually looked pretty good. They had the win against Nashville. I think they won 1-0 at Seattle as well. So I don't know if I'd go money line here against Cincinnati, but I do kind of like the over. Granted, I think that you might have to go to over 3.5 goals. St. Louis against Dallas. St. Louis has a couple issues. So Nerwinski, the right back, is suspended. That will probably move Akil Watts to right back. Change a few things up. Giacchini, yeah, that's right. Giacchini probably isn't going to be ready to start, but they do have Adeniran, this younger player who has come on a little bit this season, and a few other guys that can play behind him. So I think they're going to be fine. Dallas is playing well. Jesus Ferreira, I think he's going to be ready to start. Missed over the weekend with an illness. I think he'll be fine there. Minnesota home against Rapids. As you can see here, this Minnesota lineup, something to keep an eye on. I would probably wait to bet on Minnesota. We'll see how it goes. So, Bong Huangle, I'll just call him Bong here. He's not training, didn't play last week, or a few days ago, so he's probably not going to play. I think the bigger news here is Reynoso has had some swelling in his ankle, might not be ready to start, maybe be available off the bench. So if you don't have probably maybe two of Minnesota's best creative players in Bong and Reynoso, I do worry a little bit, but then you look at the Rapids, it's like, well, this is one of the worst teams. This maybe actually is the worst team in MLS. So how much does it matter losing two guys like that? You still got Pookie up front. You still got guys who, know how to play. Trapp, Rosales, Dotson, those guys have been playing pretty much all season. So I think I'm still going to be on Minnesota no matter what happens here with Reynoso. So Houston home against Columbus. I think this is an interesting one. These final remaining matches, I'm not going to have much to say about them. Just difficult spots to bet, really. Maybe I'll throw something in terms of corners. But just starting with this Houston-Columbus one, Columbus playing really well. Houston are at home. But I mean, if you look at Columbus, they really they haven't lost a step really uh, since losing one of their better players. And look at this, we got Diego Rossi set to start. He scored in his first start, so Diego Rossi um, could start here. So you got him with Cucho, Gressel playing well. Winning at Houston is difficult, though. Winning at Houston is difficult. Houston actually rotated a bit over the weekend, so I think they're going to have their A squad for this one. Maybe kind of going into this match with the hopes of beating Columbus in this spot. I know his over under is high. This does seem like one of those matches where it could get kind of off the rails. It could be 3-2 kind of a thing. I'm not sure I'm confident enough in Houston to win in this spot because Cucho Hernandez has killed my bets before by scoring goals away from home. So I probably won't be inside there. Chicago against Vancouver, not the best matchup here. Neither one of these teams playing really well. As you can see in this Whitecaps lineup, just a different kind of lineup. They don't really have anything set here. Fire have been really bad, and Jimenez is suspended. We'll see how they line up. Fabian Herbers could come in as well. Fabian Erber, sorry. Just two bad teams that I have no interest in really betting on, I'd say. The Fire are struggling so much that I'm not sure how much it matters that, Vancouver is traveling to Chicago for this match. But maybe they're going to turn around. We'll see. Austin. Sorry about that, Austin. They've kind of fallen apart. I was kind of looking at them ahead of Leagues Cup. They were maybe the most informed team going into the Leagues Cup. They've kind of fallen apart, kind of lost their way a little bit. Will they get it back home against the Sounders, one of the hardest teams to project in MLS? They lost that home game against Atlanta, and then they went at Minnesota over the weekend and had that 1-1 game. So if you want to go on the basis that, okay, the Sounders, they were just in Minnesota a few days ago. Now they're in Austin. Okay, they're going to be a little tired. Roldan, maybe he returns to starting 11. Maybe they even mix some things up. This is kind of an older team with Rusnak and Ladero in there. Maybe that happens, but then you look at what's happening in Austin, and there are some questions. Sure, a lot of the recent games have been on the road. They lost 1-0 at Dallas. They lost 6-3 at St. Louis. So, I mean, maybe you can look at this and be like, okay, Austin's back home. They can kind of revive themselves a little bit, but Sounders are still a decent squad, and some would say maybe they're playing a little better away from home this season. Earthquakes against Galaxy. Galaxy has been okay. This is one I was looking at for corners, but San Jose is just one of those teams that is terrible away from home. And then you get them at home, and it's like they're a completely different team. So this is another spot where I just can't look at. I mean, you look at their last home game. This is before Leagues Cup, 2-0 win against the Sounders. They played Galaxy at home, 2 months ago? That was a 2-2 result. Not sure I can take either side. I'm not sure I can even take the over on this one. Just Galaxy unpredictable. Earthquakes unpredictable. Galaxy, they kind of struggle to convert their chances for the most part. Portland, Real Salt Lake, two more teams that are struggling. Portland's been struggling all season. They got a bunch of injuries. Real Salt Lake has, again, another team like Austin that just hasn't really looked that great following Leagues Cup or during Leagues Cup for that matter. They could rotate a bit. As you can see, they're a fairly deep squad, but I mean, you look at Pablo Ruiz. You look at their games without him, and really it was, okay, they lost 3-0. They have this one game without him where he's injured. But, prior games, okay, 3-0 home loss against Houston. They beat Toronto, whatever. I guess they have fine performances without Ruiz, but he's arguably their best player. I don't know. At Portland, I don't really have a preferred side here. Maybe take the under, but Portland's defense kind of sucks. So these last few matches here, I just don't really have any thoughts on. It's just MLS being MLS. I'm going to read some comments here before we got Tropical Bear in the chat here. There we go. He is helping me on Maxime Chabot. Cabo, man, I can't say his name. Chabot. Moved to Jaxio. Bonko Kule. There we go. Yeah, Houston smashing at home. I mean, that makes sense, but Columbus is playing really well. And that's just the one thing I'm kind of worried about in that situation. I mean, their last road game, I mean, it's kind of hard, I guess. Columbus's last few road games, last one or two road games came in Leagues Cup. I think they went, I can't remember exactly it, but maybe did they actually go to Minnesota? Something like that. But I mean, you look at the road games, okay, 3-2 loss at Portland, 2-2 at in no Lionel Messi, Inter Miami. I mean, you can look at some of these games, but I just don't think it's really the same team. Uh, than those games, like Gressel's in there, Rossi's in there. It's just Zayla Ryan's not on the team anymore. He's been gone for more than a month, kind of thing. Houston at home, you could look at that route just based off Houston being at home. So if you want to go off the Cruise recent away results, yeah, 3-2 result, something like that, 4-2 if you want to get crazy, something like that. But all right, let's get into some bets here. Again, rotowire.com/soccer trial to check out this cheat sheet. It has all the goal odds here as well. One thing you want to check out, Lionel Messi minus 225 to score. Actually, I was looking at different odds earlier. I think these are FanDuel odds here. Maybe his odds changed. I could have sworn I saw Messi at minus 295 to score. Maybe my eyes were messing with me. But Messi is minus 225 to score. No one else on the slate is favored to score. Joel Klaus actually is a player who is coming back. He could actually return on the starting 11. Forgot to mention him for St. Louis. He's been out for three or 4 months, something like that. But here we go. Of course, I got a bet in a Messi game here. Messi at home against Nashville. I think they're going to win. As I said, was BetMGM. You have minus 185 you can get. I did this single game parlay on DraftKings. So I'm just taking Miami money line over 2.5 goals, and then Nashville. Just add in a bit of juice, because if you just want to parlay Miami money line and over 2.5 goals, I think it's plus 105 odds. But I think Nashville over 2.5 corners is a pretty good bet. I don't care about this being, in Miami. I think Nashville can do enough to where they get corners, and it's not like Miami are winning corner battles in a lot of these games. A lot of these games, they even have fewer possession, and it's just like they have a crazy conversion rate right now with Messi. I think they're scoring on 30% of their shots right now with Messi, which is just absolutely wild. And that usually leads to the other team getting more corners than Miami, because they'll probably have more possession, and then they'll probably be pushing a little bit more. So if you don't want to throw that corner bet in there, that's fine, but it just adds a plus 50 extra few bucks in your bank account here. So Miami money line over 2.5 goals, and then I also consider Miami over 1.5 goals, but you actually get better numbers if you just do the over 2.5 goals on the full game. And then Nashville over 2.5 corners plus 155. Philadelphia, I already mentioned them. They are playing at Toronto, who are a bit of a mess. Philadelphia, betting on a team to win away from home, not really the safest thing, but Toronto, I'm actually going to pull up some Toronto results lately to give an example of just why I'm betting on. So it's Philadelphia Union money line. That's plus 100. Just scrolling through the list here. Toronto have lost their last 10 games. That includes Leagues Cup. So at Columbus, 2-0 loss. Home against Montreal. I already mentioned Montreal. Not really a good team away from home. Toronto lost at home 3-2. They lost, I assume they're playing at home, but they lost to Atlas 1-0. New York City at New York City 5-0. At Chicago 1-0. Home against St. Louis 1-0. I'm not even sure that was a full strength St. Louis team. At Orlando 4-0. Home against Real Salt Lake 1-0. At New England 2-1. At Cincinnati 3-0. I mean, you could look at it and be like, okay, well, they're at home though, and they only lost by 1 goal in some of those home games. I guess you can look at it like that, but it just feels like all these rumors that are coming out about Insigne and Bernardeschi pretty much every week about, I think last week it was like Insigne wanted to leave. He wasn't training. That was Thursday. And then 2 days later, he actually started for him. So just a weird situation for him. Again, I already mentioned Michael Bradley having to move to center back because they have so many injuries. And then that's kind of hurting them. Otherwise, elsewhere on the pitch, another one I got, Charlotte money line plus 130. I already talked about this one a little bit. This was the last bet I actually grabbed because I was just looking for a bunch of things, and I'm just going to take it off the basis of Charlotte at home, coming off a pretty nice win. I think they're a deeper team than Orlando is as well. So I'll go with that. Go Charlotte plus 130 against Orlando. I know Orlando will be without Antonio Carlos on the back line. So Schlegel will have to start at center back for him. I guess he's been starting already. Either way. Then I got a couple parlays here. Parlays for the people. Let's see what we got. So I got over 2.5 goals. I got an over 2.5 goal parlay. So that's Atlanta and Cincinnati game. I believe that's about minus 170. So Atlanta and Cincinnati. I already mentioned that. Atlanta at home. I think both teams are going to score. I think Atlanta's on play for at least 2 goals. Cincinnati, I think they can get at least 1. So there you go. 3 goals right there. Over 2.5 goals in that one. Then I'm looking at the St. Louis Dallas game. I think I said, what was it? The last St. Louis home game was 6-3. They have some defensive questions because Nerwinski is suspended at right back. They're going to have to move Akil Watts there. Dallas has the Jesus Ferreira back. They're a little more defensive. So that is the main worry in that. But plus 180 is that parlay. Atlanta and Cincinnati over 2.5, and then St. Louis Dallas over 2.5. It's plus 180. I also some other ones, if you don't like either one of those, I was also considering the Revs. I just think that's going to be a game where some stupid thing happens in that game. But if you want to bet over, I think that's in play. Also, this Philadelphia-Toronto one, as I've already mentioned, over 2.5 is in play, but I'm not going to make 2 bets on that one in one show. Next one, I got parlay. I mentioned this Minnesota. So Minnesota, they're playing against the worst team. So that's all I care about. I know they got injuries, but let's just go with it here. So Minnesota money line and then Houston double chance. It's plus 128. So you're getting what is my Minnesota? Minnesota is about minus 150, and then Houston double chance is minus 200 or something. You put those together, it's plus 128. So I just mentioned that, okay, Houston's at home. At a minimum, we're getting double chance on them. I don't think they're going to lose at home to Columbus, though, as I said, Cucho Hernandez has screwed me here before, but I don't think it's going to happen this time. Let's just say that. Minnesota, they could draw this one. This could be 0-0. This could be 1-1. Again, something stupid could happen because it's MLS, but the Rapids, they look terrible. So let's just go off the basis of that in Minnesota. If you don't want to do Minnesota, I was mentioning Austin earlier, maybe a double chance parlay with Houston and Austin, kind of a thing, and then banking on, the Sounders having a ton of travel. You could do that. Not the worst idea. And really any of these home teams. I mean, I already mentioned just hard talking about some of these matchups because so many of these teams are inconsistent. So many of them are playing bad right now. So it's like, who do you want to bet on? I would consider NYC money line. That one is in play. Let me double check the odds on that. I'm pretty sure it is. It's minus 125. So maybe throw that in with one of the double chances. Opinions on Philadelphia Union and Inter Miami winning. Yeah, I mean, I just talked about it. It's in the graphic right here. Look at the graphic on YouTube and Twitter. I have a bet on Miami money line. I have a bet on Philadelphia Union money line. I mean, I don't need to go over that again. But yeah, I think both teams are going to win. So that's why I'm betting on them. But that's all I got for my MLS bets. Thanks for watching this. Hopefully let's win something. Again, rotowire.com/soccer trial, 48-hour trial. And then you can use this cheat sheet. And maybe let's just put in 13 bets for corner bets. Daryl, well, if you're late, good thing. You can actually replay this show after it ends. But thanks for watching this at Zdroik. I will not have an MLS betting show on Friday. Maybe next week over the international break. I think there's 4 games over the international break. Maybe I'll take a deep dive into. There's 5 games. Maybe I'll take a deep dive into 5 MLS games over the national break. We'll see how motivated I am. Thanks for watching. Good luck on your bets.